Online Big Blue, bringing you the best in New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Oh, it's a Sunday. Sunday. Oh, yeah, you know what? I miss Truckosaurus. But you know what? I wanted to get into something today because I see the Nick Gates thing. I have no problem against Nick Gates. I have no issue with him getting money. I've always said I have no problem with a team paying a guy. But I see all these things where, well, he got the money he deserved. He earned that money. All right, let's just take a look at Nick Gates for a second. He played no games in 18. I mean, plain and simple. He played all 16 games in 19. He only started 3. He played a total of 290 snaps, which would be the equivalent of 27% of the offensive snaps. Well, not all with the starts, but the total between the games he played and the 3 starts, he played in 27% of the offensive snaps. We dropped potentially $6 million a year, $5 million a year on a guy that played a total of 290 offensive snaps last year. I'm not seeing, and the other thing that bugs me about this deal, yeah, he would be he would be a restricted free agent when his contract was up. So we are paying a guy, we are giving the guy an extension when he would have been a restricted free agent. What would have been the detriment to let Nick Gates play out the season and see where he's at? Because honestly, we don't even know if he's going to be a starter. So I guess the terms are right now 2 years, $10.325 million, potential average salary of $5 million. It could go up. He'll be a free agent in 2023. But on his current deal, he would be a restricted free agent. So what would be the harm of allowing Nick Gates to play out the season and not give him a contract? I'm not saying, my only thing is, okay, with Nate Solder, I hope he retires, but Nate Solder, going on the exempt list because of what's going on with his son. And of course, Nate had cancer as well. That opens up a spot because, left tackle is going to be taken over by Andrew Thomas. So that means the right side is open. So you have Cam, Fleming, you have Nate. Those are the two that should be competing for the job. Okay, we are dropping this money on Nick Gates, and we're not 100% sure what we have. What would have been the harm in waiting the season to see if the man can he's competing for a starting job. He is not giving the starting job. So the question would be, what would have been the harm to see if he actually wins the starting job before we reward him with a contract? Now, some people are going to say, you seem to be fired up about this. Well, you know what it is? My wife's got me on freaking keto. I gained the Corona 15 pounds. I still work out every day. I don't know how I'm gaining weight, but she's got me on the keto, and I'm not happy about it right now because I could really use a freaking cheeseburger and fries. But all that aside, what is the harm about letting that happen and going into figuring out in the 2021 season? Because right now, if you go by everything, and this is not including the new contract for Nick, we only have an estimated cap space in 2021 of $7 million. Now, of course, that can change. There's always a talk about cutting Nate, and we would incur $6.5 million of dead cap space if we cut him next year. But it kind of limits signing Nick Gates now. In some ways, limits our ability to not only pursue, maybe if people were always saying, let's go pursue Yannick. Okay, here's now the problem with pursuing Yannick. let's say, or Clowney. Here are the problems to actually doing that now with the signing of the Gates. And we're going to call him the Gates because we like to call people all these other things. So he's the Gates. Here's the problem we have with that. Okay, we have $14 million. You have to be willing to get a veteran that's going to take less up money in the front end of a contract or a one-year deal, and then pay him more. And let's say we go after Yannick. Yannick is tagged, I think, at like 17.3. I can't remember the exact number, but he's tagged at 17.3. We have 14.6. We would have to clear cap space and give assets to get Yannick, and Yannick is more than likely going to want at least $20 million a year. So the problem is, even if we can convince Yannick to take like $10 million the first year and then prorate some of his bonus throughout the remainder of the contract, you just took away an additional $5 million of cap space in 2021 to sign Nick Gates. So you are hampering your own ability if you wanted to bring in a premier pass rusher by giving money to a guy that you hope is going to be a starter after he only started 3 games for you last year. It's you know what Gettleman sometimes reminds me of? He reminds me of sometimes a little kid that finds money on the floor and can't keep it in his pocket. He's got to spend it. And then you talk about, well, we need to be frugal. We need to have this money. We need to have that money. Well, you're not showing me you being frugal. You're showing me you're rewarding Nick Gates with a contract that I personally think he did not deserve because of the fact that he only started 3 games. He played well, but you only have a sample of 29% of the offensive plays. What would have been the harm of giving him a full season, seeing if he can even win the job? What happens if Nick Gates does not, plain and simple, what happens if Nick Gates does not win the job from Cam Fleming? I am not a big Cam Fleming fan as a starter. I think Cam Fleming has a place on the team as a backup lineman. I think he's proven that with his career. Cam Fleming has never won a job in the NFL. He's only been given a job due to injury. And I had one person say, well, he was good enough to start on a Pro Bowl quality line in New England during the Eagles Super Bowl. And I laughed because I said to the guy, you talk about a Pro Bowl quality line because he was bashing Nate. I said, what's funny? Nate Solder was on that same line. And they thought so highly of Cam Fleming that year. After the Super Bowl, they released him. So what happens if Nick Gates gets beat out by Cam Fleming? We have to hope then in 2021 that he plays better. And the other issue I have with this signing right now is you have Saquon Barkley going into year 4 next year. So he's going to start looking for a payday. And you've taken 5, and if we only have 7 point something million in cap space in year 4, of course that's without cutting Solder and everything, that cap number can go up. But what are you going to do when Barkley comes up and says, hey, I want some money in 2022? And then another problem is you got Daniel Jones coming up right after Barkley. Now, in 2022, the Giants, right now would have $86 million in cap space because they got a lot of contracts coming off the books and a lot of other things. But you know what? That's going to change because you got Barkley, you got Jones, you got all these people coming up. But that's 2 years down the road. But again, you're taking away cap space when you potentially need to sign Barkley and then sign Jones. Jones a year later, you're gonna have to sign your franchise running back and your franchise quarterback the next year after that. But we're gonna give Nick Gates that amount of money, and we don't even know if he's potentially going to be. Hopefully, potentially. He's going to be a starter. Yes, I hope so. I hope Nick Gates comes out and is Jonathan Ogden, or Will Rolfe, or any stud offensive lineman. I hope that's what he is. But I don't understand what the rush was to give Nick Gates money now when he's only started 3 games and only played in 29% of the snaps for the New York Giants last year. And like I said, it really does hinder us going out and getting another free agent, another big time. I don't think we're going to get a big time free agent. I'm not thinking Clowney's going to come here. I don't think Yannick's going to come here. But I would like to see a sign like someone like Britt, to kind of help with the offensive line. There was a couple other players out there we could probably pick up. I don't think Logan's going to come here. But it just doesn't make sense to me how we dump money into Nick Gates when we could have given him the money in the offseason of this offseason after the 2020 season. Because he is a restricted free agent. He's not going anywhere. We control him. But we're going to give him money and take away our cap space in 2021 and then we have to worry about having Barkley and Jones coming up the following 2 years. To me, I like Dave Gettleman, but to me, it's a Dave Gettleman move. You look at it on the surface and you're like, well, it's okay. But then when you start actually breaking down the soup and the nuts of it, you kind of think to yourself, what the hell is he doing? It was like the Odell trade. I didn't have a problem with the Odell trade at first. I was like, we got Peppers, which is like a first-round draft choice. We're taking the 17th overall. We're swapping fifths. It doesn't look too bad on the surface. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. You drafting a franchise quarterback, and now we don't have any weapons for him really to throw to besides Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram if he can stay out of the bubble wrap. That doesn't, and I thought about it after a while, you traded a talent that's supposed to be an all-world talent for 2 first-round picks. And then you see what Jamal Adams got. You're like, maybe it doesn't make that much sense. I am not bashing Nick Gates, and I want everyone to know that. I am just pointing out the fact that this is a Gettleman move that to me in some ways does not make sense, and it hinders us from doing anything else in the free agent market and potentially hinders us in 2021. And that's what people need to look at, because I'm tired of people saying, well, he earned the contract. He played in 16 games and started 3. He didn't earn anything. You earn a contract by playing 16 out of 16. You're an undrafted free agent. The wheels can still fall off the bus. That's what we need to think about as fans. The wheels can still fall off the bus on Nick Gates. We don't know. I hope I'm 100% wrong. But I would like to have saved that money just in case I was 100% right. Again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. Again, if you want to, you can send us an email just to say hello at onlinebigbblue@gmail.com. Of course, you can also follow us on Twitter at onlinebigbblue1. And again, that's onlinebigbblue1. If you send us an email, I love getting emails. I find it very interesting. I started getting, ever since I've given out the email address, I started getting a lot of emails, which is great because I'm really getting some insight what everyone's thinking. I've had some people actually convinced me to change my mind on a few things, so please feel free to send emails. If you agree with me, disagree with me, either way, I love to read them. I say the same thing in the comments. We do not delete any comments. If you agree with me or disagree with me, just let me know, because you know what? When you have differences of opinion, it makes for a better show. So again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, if you could if you could subscribe, if you could ring that bell, I think you know what that means? That'd be pretty nice. That'd be awesome.